Hello, everyone. So in this video, I'm going to talk about Certified Enterprise Coach, the CEC application process. So it's been like almost 8 to 9 years. I'm a CEC reviewer, and I frequently keep reviewing applications, and I know some of the frequently made mistakes by applicants. So I quickly walk you through the application. I quickly walk you through the process. And I also quickly walk you through uh, what not to do when you're submitting the CEC application. So quickly, here when you go to explore certifications, so in Scrum Alliance website, you have to scroll down, and there is click on Certified Enterprise Coach, and this is the page you should be probably looking at. So this page contains the CEC requirements link, summary of expectations, and application instructions. And also you have this part 1 and part 2 of the application. So, and at the bottom, you also see the process where there is an assessment call. And there's the part 1, part 2, and then you get the certification. Here's the review team that we have on Scrum Alliance, and I'm included here as well. So if you scroll up, so what are some of the requirements to apply for a CEC? So if I click on this link, you get a PDF that you can probably download. Yeah. So some of the requirements, you should have significant hands-on experience in at least one of the roles in Scrum team, and you should be an active CSP. It could be Scrum Master, Product Owner, or a developer. And you have coached in 3 or more organizations, departments, or programs. So many people who apply or who only coached for teams, when they apply for this, they were not mindful of this. So the other thing is you have to coach at an enterprise level or a combination of enterprise and multi-team coaching for more than 2,000 hours in the past 3 years, not counting the time as Scrum Master. So Scrum Master hours are not counted towards this. And then when we come to the knowledge part, you should have formal coaching education, formal or informal coaching education, and strong mentor relationships. The mentor need not be a CEC, but someone who's really good at professional coaching, and good working knowledge of agile values, principles, and practices like continuous improvement, or like reflection, self-awareness, asking powerful questions. These are some of the competencies that we are going to test you on. You as an applicant should have helped individuals and teams and apply agile and lean values, principles, and practices effectively, and understand the dynamics, patterns, and development of multi-teams and how they interact at the organization level. And you can describe, this is where many people go wrong. You must be able to describe with an example what is the difference between coaching and consulting. And this application is not for consultants. I mean, that's where many people have their own challenges, because coaching is pretty much different from consulting. So if you as a consultant apply for this, most of the reviewers have an idea of what you're doing. So coaching must be separated from consulting. So that's why if you are consulting in organizations, this certification is not a real good fit for I mean, not a really good fit for CEC. Yeah. And it's always recommended that you join this Google group where everyone who wants to apply for this program, they interact with each other, they ask questions and everything. And any 2 client recommendations and 1 mentor recommendation. So client recommendations with whom you help these organizations to transform, help the organization in enabling agile ways of working, and a mentor with whom you directly work on, and this mentor might have helped you throughout your journey. And have an active engagement in contribution and leadership. Predominantly, if I'm the reviewer, I look for a lot of leadership, at least at the CEC level. So leadership includes like in a community, in an agile community where you might be volunteering meetups, or you're speaking at a gathering, a regional gathering as a global gathering, or something equivalent of that scale. And the diversity, authoring a book or reviewing a book or writing a lot of blogs or being a reviewer for submissions for any global gathering or regional gathering. So the scale and diversity matters as a certified enterprise coach. So that's what predominantly we're looking at. And so you might have participated in at least 5 or public Scrum or Agile events and have contributed to some of this as an organizer, presenter, collaborator, or facilitator, something like this. That could add a lot of value. Okay. So again, this all to me comes under leadership. What is that you're doing as a community leader, or anything more than this? For example, writing a book is something what you're giving it, or any pro bono activities. So something that adds a lot of value. Yeah. And have contributed to significant improvements in the organizations or departments through coaching techniques. So coaching is what is more important. We are more interested in how well you coach with a lot of examples. So we wanted to hear your stories, hear your failure stories, or hear what did you try, what worked, what did not work, and why something never worked, and what did you do to make it work, or how as a coach you are adapting your journey, how as a coach, how you are adapting from one engagement to another engagement is something that matters. So, and you have helped organizations beyond basics. And one thing which often I hear from applicants is like, they have a lot of training experience. They say that I have trained like 10,000 people in the world or in several organizations that I work. So that is totally an irrelevant experience for this application. So do not mention your training experience. Do not ever mention your training experience. We want to hear your coaching. I know everyone do a bit of training, but we are more looking into your coaching experience, not training experience. And how you enabled organizations to find their own solutions rather than you preach your solutions, and familiar and promote agile mindset of servant leadership. And you are a really great communicator who can make the real difference. And then you have very rich skill set of facilitation, coaching, and any mentoring that you did in the past, and probably a bit of training. But yes, training is totally relevant for this application. Okay, so these are the CEC requirements at a very high level. Okay, so now coming to let me go back to the previous page. Okay, so when you look at summary of expectations, so this is a one-pager, and in the summary of expectations, what is that we look in your application? Okay, so focusing on organizations of various sizes and dimensions. That's what is more important for us. What scale you did coaching, or what scale you transformed organizations, or what scale you really catalyze the change. That is something which is very valuable for us. So at an enterprise level, you demonstrate executive level engagement, cross-functional experience between the teams and other areas of the organization, not just product development. Yeah, product development is important, but it is not something we focus on in this application. And show some evidence of actual transformation success of multiple functions, business divisions or enterprises, along with diversity of your initial engagement approach. So something what matters, like if you have listed three stories, three examples of how you approached it, how you approached coaching, or how you approached transforming organizations. So the way how I look at it, like, okay, you have organization one, your approach one, and you might have learned something from this, and how did you adapt to the next coaching, next engagement? And so how you adapted over a period of time makes a huge difference. And that's something which I'm also interested in, reading your adaptation. Your agile coaching career should show a journey of growth, showing a diversity of experience with different industries and organization size. That's what I was talking before. And coaching mindset. This is something which is so important for us. Like you believe clients are naturally creative, so that you don't have to preach them, and they are resourceful and whole. Therefore, they have their own means of solving their own challenges. So you are only enabling them to solve their own challenges. Yeah. So you understand the difference and are learning when to move between your stance when it comes to content versus process. Okay. And what do you mean by content? So mentoring, training, and consulting, and process, professional coaching and facilitation. So one thing which is important is the bar might be a little high here, but someone who is applying for CEC must demonstrate professional coaching skills to the level of PCC, Professional Certified Coach, ICF PCC, International Coach Federation, PCC. Yeah. So, however, the certification is not required, but the coaching competencies described by ICF PCC. You can search for what are some of the coaching competencies of ICF PCC, and this is the bar that we usually look into. So, this kind of professional coaching skills are something that we look for. And someone can always go to ICF website and look for what are some of the coaching competencies, but this is something most of the reviewers look for. And also, it shows that you have taken both your experience and learning, synthesized into definitive practices, frameworks, approaches, and strategies. Okay, so you are required to have the knowledge and know how to apply coaching skills and various practices, including organizational change leadership models. So this is something which I emphasize. So because every agile journey, every agile enabler, every agile coach, when you go to the middle, you are expected to change. You have to expected to bring some change or bring some shift in the way. Before you took over this client and after you took over, what is the kind of change that happened, or what is the impact that you created is going to make a lot of meaningful sense. So that is something I would look for if I'm the reviewer, and also have at least knowledge of at least 3 professional coaching frameworks, like maybe examples, Coactive, NLI, ORC, ACI, or any other practices. And you must integrate practices or framework, thereby creating. So it's like, are you very creative naturally? So you might be reusing something, you might be borrowing something from somewhere, but are you really creating your own, or are you really customizing your own? What is your own uniqueness that you are bringing onto your table. That is something which I look for. And a CEC must demonstrate thought leadership in any three specialized areas related to coaching at an enterprise level. Okay. And there is, for example, one specialty which I wanted to bring up is like business agility. The other specialty might be organizational team. So there are a few specialties listed out for you in the application. You have to pick 3 of them and see where you have that specialization. And you will be successful if you reflect on your own coaching contribution. And it's all about self-awareness. What kind of self-awareness that you are bringing onto your table? So what is really going through your mind when you are dealing with a client or when you're working on an engagement? So that is something which you are interested to know. Okay, I took this approach, it didn't work. Because it didn't work, I took this approach, and because of this, I learned something. So this is a constant plan to take act. Yeah. So, and then select your experiments and hypothesis and demonstrate a neutral step. Yeah, not easy. And reflect towards the outcome and integrate learning into subsequent hypotheses and actions. You must be able to run your own coaching in a debug mode. Yeah, that's fantastic. And how many of you did that in the past? And then you must be aware of your own thinking and approach to coaching. You must be mindful of the impact you are creating. And then preparing for coaching and post-coaching reflection. And constant learning, we look for a lot of constant learning evidence. So do you have a mentor? Are you working with your mentor constantly? Who is that mentor? How many hours you are involved in engaging with your mentor? And are you also a mentor? Are you mentoring someone? So from one side, you are learning from someone. From one side, you are giving it to someone. Yeah. And you must demonstrate the humility and learning from both failed as well as successful engagement. Not every engagement is a successful engagement. Yeah. Your reading must show the depth of frameworks, practices, and skills beyond agile context. This includes research, organization culture, multidisciplinary change, and maybe some of the business economics as well. Yeah. So agile community leadership, as I said before, a CEC must be able to demonstrate at least, I believe it is 2 years. I have to cross-check it in the application, but I think it is 2 years. I have read this recently. Of any of this, Scrum-aligned user groups, global or regional gatherings, agile coaching, retreats, coaches clinic, guest speaker. There's so many, a lot of community events where you have to demonstrate the leadership. And this is one area where people say that, hey, you know what? Yeah, I have everything, but I'm not a social person. No, that's probably not going to work for a CEC candidate. So all this, or even anything equivalent of this, you are expected to do outside your organization, not within your organization. Yeah. And maybe if needed, you should keep the evidence of your community leadership very safe, and you have to provide the evidence when you're requested for. Yeah. So this is what I see as summary of these expectations. Now let's quickly go through application instructions. The application instructions are, the first thing is we start with a pre-application call. So you have to schedule some time with one of the reviewer. So once you feel that you are very confident, it's time to connect with a CEC review team, one of the team member. And the application call is free of charge, free of service, offered by the review team. This conversation is not an approval, but at the same time, you probably are expected to do a short coaching session with one of the reviewer. You can book time with any of the reviewers listed here, and you're expected to maybe it would roughly take like 45 minutes to an hour. just a small coaching session with the reviewers so that the reviewers understand your coaching mindset. Yeah. So the reviewer probably many times say that, hey, you're good to go with the application, but be careful with some of these bullet points. So a reviewer might give you a feedback. Yeah. Or a reviewer says, hey, you know what, you're not really ready yet, and these are the areas that you need to work. So some of the pre-app calls that I have done in the past was like, there were some gaps in community contribution, community leadership. So that is where I said, like, hey, you know what, you need to work on this. And I clearly see many of them who call themselves as coaches. They're not coaches, they are great consultants. So they say that this is the way how you have to work, or they have some frameworks. They have learned so many things in various classes, and then they just say that go to a client and say that, you know what, this is the framework. If you apply it, this is what you're going to get. So these guys were pretty much consultants. Based on the conversation with the reviewer itself, you yourself will know from the reviewer feedback that, hey, you have a great coaching mindset, or you're still a consultant. You need to work on your professional coaching skills, something like that. You get some feedback at the end of the conversation from the reviewer. Yeah. And then once you are good to go, there is part one, qualifications and prerequisite. So again, the tip is like, we are more interested in your coaching proficiency than your agile expertise. Of course, if you have a title as an agile coach, you're expected to learn at least one agile framework. But in this application, we look at more of your coaching capabilities, like how well you coach teams, how well you coach multidisciplinary teams, how well you coach executive leadership, how well you coach the organizations, or how well you coach the governance teams. There's so many within an organization, isn't it? So there is a fee of 250, which is non-refundable, and you will be given a personal Google document to use, and then just go through all that, and then start filling the application. And then when you're completed with the application, when you're done with the application, just send an email to Scrum. Scrum will assign a reviewer. And once the reviewer start reviewing application, reviewer will connect with you. And so maybe 1 to 3 weeks of time for a reviewer. And reviewer might add comments to your Google Doc, and reviewer might ask some of the questions, or a reviewer might come back, might reach out to you for any questions that a reviewer might have on your application or something that you have written in your application. So there is a lot of back and forth between you and the reviewer. You have to answer some of the questions raised by the reviewer in the application itself. The review team maintains a no single point of failure policy. Okay. And if the first reviewer assesses that your application doesn't meet the qualifications, a second reviewer will be invited to review the application. If there is a split between the two reviewers, a third reviewer is invited to review an application as a tiebreaker. And in this case, please allow additional week for each reviewer. So, and in case of deferrals, where 2 out of 3 reviewers determine that you don't meet the necessary qualifications, you will be sent a detailed feedback with a suggested reapplication date. Maybe there will be a deferral for a few months, and you will be also feedback. And if necessary, you can also have a conference call with the reviewers. Yeah. And after taking necessary revisions based on the comments provided, you may resubmit your part 1 application again. Yeah. And once approved by Scrum staff, you may continue to part 2 application. Now, the part 2 is, this is where there is a lot of focus. Part 2, really evaluate your qualitative competency of coaching capabilities determined by the proficiency and across wide range of competencies. So again, we expect certified enterprise coaches to articulate their thinking and practice in concise written form, which is why we ask for a written application. So as a CEC candidate or CEC applicant, you have to structure your thoughts and write it in a very small paragraphs that fits the word limits. Yeah, we don't want you to write pages and pages, and when you go through it, there's no content in here. Yeah, that's not reviewers will be looking at. So, and then once you are done, okay, so once you are done with it, again, you now you have to submit your mentor recommendations as well as client recommendations letters directly to Scrum Alliance. And once you are done with the part 2, send an email again. And now there'll be 2 reviewers and the review team. Similar to part 1, each reviewer will contact you when they're starting the application. Reviewers may add comments to your Google Doc. And if they have any questions, again, they'll reach out to you. They ask you for additional information. And constantly, you will be engaged by 1 or 2 reviewers and asking you questions when they read through the application. Okay, so there are 3 possibilities, 3 possible results. Approval, both reviewers assess that you meet the qualifications for the CEC certification. Scrum Alliance will notify you that you passed the application. You pass the CEC, and you get the next step for setting up the certification. Deferment, if you do not meet the qualifications of the program, you will receive a written feedback from the review team, encouraging you to address your qualifications gaps and resubmit your application after the deferment period. And you will be also offered a Zoom call with review team to talk through their feedback. Do not miss the opportunity. It is possible that either your writing do not reflect your coaching awareness in its entirety, or that their perception of writing differs from your intention. Use this call to clarify. And if 2 reviewers do not agree on their assessment of your application, a 3rd reviewer will take the tiebreaker and vote in this decision. Please note that in case of a tiebreaker review, the feedback may take additional 3 weeks to do the 3rd review and finalize the result and provide the feedback. Okay. So you are now, and then after you get the certification, you can download the certification and all the steps on how you should download the certification. And there is, I believe, yearly fee of $750 to maintain the certification. And there are some tips on this on this box. You can go through them, and you can probably ask for more questions as you go through it. So some of the definition here, yeah. So if I go through part 1 and part 2 of your application, so this is part 1 of the application. Is a sample application. So it's coming up, yeah. All right, so this is sample, and you need to specify all the information given here. On what date you are this one, you are a CSP. And then we wanted to learn about your coaching career, your coaching approach, what are the reasons applying, what are the reasons behind you for applying CEC, what are your coaching goals and agile coaching experience. And you have to document the number of teams or any enterprise leaders or something like that. So for a CEC, it's minimum 2,000 hours. Yeah. And formal coaching education. So what did you learn? So again, there are no specific number of classes, mentorship or relationships, community events, coaching goals, techniques, framework that you must meet to qualify the guide level certification. However, you must demonstrate a journey of learning, engagement, understanding, and practice across all the dimensions to qualify. Thus, you may have less experience in one dimension that can be compensated for thorough more experience in the another dimension. However, you cannot completely lack a dimension. reviewers expect to see your active learning journey over the last 2 years of 5 years. Okay, within the last 5 years, at least you should demonstrate 2 years of your active learning journey. So, and what are the informal coach learnings? Maybe you can specify a book, topic, video, a blog, whatever works for you here. And are you being mentored by someone? A mentor need not be CEC, but preferably if someone is CEC, that is an added value because they have walked through the journey already. Yeah. And whom are you really mentoring? Are you mentoring someone? Yeah. So, and then agile community leadership engagement. Okay. So this is where community contribution and engagement plays a vital role. Okay. So, and then after that, what are some of the coaching tools, techniques, frameworks that you can always list here? Team maturation, large group facilitation, multi-team coordination, organizational leadership, and any others, whatever. So we want you to write a brief description here. Yeah. So this is what is part 1 of the application. Let's go to part 2. So okay, so this is the part 2 of the application. Very descriptive, very qualitative application. So what is the scoring criteria? Okay, show an ability to reflect and be self-aware of the strengths, weaknesses, and past mistakes. Why? This is all some of the scoring criteria. Demonstrate emotional intelligence, balance, and maturity, and all this something on which we usually score the applicants. Yeah. So the first question is describe a time when the outcome of a key coaching direction, decision, or approach was different from what you had desired or anticipated. And how did you approach the situation? What have you learned learned as a result of it? Yeah. So this is something where we want you to see your story. We wanted to read your story and see how you adapted to it. Yeah. And the next question is client engagements, contrast to client engagements, where you need to modify your coaching mindset, approach, or style to meet your client needs. What compromises did you make? What did you learn out of it? Yeah. So, so you have to contrast two experiences and then describe a significant client engagement for which you are required to learn a new coaching technique or skill in order to meet the client needs. So what was the new learning? What approach did you utilize? What outcomes for you as a client? Okay, for you and the client. Yeah. So the next one is coaching competencies. Competency 1, assessing something, balancing between coaching and consulting, catalyze, facilitate, focus on alignment, educate, awareness, and understanding. So this is the coaching criteria. This is the scoring criteria on which how we score applicants. And then there are 3 questions. Prior to engaging in a client coaching engagement, share your strategy or assess for assessing the organizational readiness and improving your coaching focus. Why did you choose that strategy? And share a specific example of leveraging it. Yeah. So this is something, one example, less than 600 words. And if you are not a native English speaker, you will get like a 25% leverage. But my recommendation is that try to keep your text very concise to the point. Yeah. So coaching competencies, how did you develop your competency balance, coaching and consulting? And contrast to experiences where your balance was out of balance. And how has your approach changed from these experiences? So this is where we want you to learn how did you balance between coaching and consulting? Because many coaches are tempted to do consulting in many coaching experiences. So that's the contrast that we wanted to learn from you. share your experience of catalyzing organizational change. This is something very valuable. And how do you know you're making a difference? Any measures and metrics? And describe key leverage points you focus on through your coaching and why. Okay. So now coaching specialities, again, these are the specialities which I was talking about, and you can add your own, but these are some of the examples of specialities that you might want to consider before picking 3 out of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7. So there are roughly like 20, 21, yeah, out of which you can pick 3 and start working on it. So, and then for each of it, you have to share your approach for this, share your current approach, a specific example, and how you develop this specialty. Okay, for each of this. And after that, we need your client recommendations. Like what do we usually look in your client recommendations? Okay, that's also something which we are looking at. And that is what pretty much it. Yeah. Okay, so, and if you wanted to apply for CTC application as well along with this, so you have to answer this supplementary application where you are expected to fill this information. Yeah. Okay, so this is precisely what the application is. This is precisely what CEC is all about. And if you want a pre-app call, or if you are looking for any more suggestions or any other questions, so you can always reach out to me. You can always book time with me, and we can also go through this application together. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have in this journey. All right. So last but not least, I want you to seriously consider having a mentor who can help you to shorten the feedback loops. So the feedback loop is for a CEC or guide levels, any guide level certification, for example, it is CSC, CSC, CTC, is going to be very, very long, because like once you submit the application and you get a feedback, and there will be a deferral period, maybe for 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months and all. And after that, you have to submit resubmit the application again. So my recommendation is always work with a mentor who can help you to shorten the feedback loop, because you're not going to do the same mistakes again, which your mentor have already done in the past. Because, for example, I've seen many CEC applicants, they put a lot of training information in their CEC application. And outright reviewers say that, hey, you know what? You are not ready for this application. You have to submit after like maybe 6 months or 1 year. So that's why my strong recommendation is always consider working with a mentor who can help you shorten the feedback loops of the application. All right. So thank you so much. If you really see some value out of this video, help us recommending people to like this video. You can share this video with anyone who are more interested in applying for CEC. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much.